Hello, it's Saturday the 14th of March. You're tuned in to our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. Hope you're having a great day. I'm Mark Broome. We start with North Korea's latest provocation and the international response to it. Needless to say, the United States has condemned Pyongyang for its test firing of several missiles into the East Sea. China, on the other hand, took a softer stance and called for everyone to play their part to cool tensions. Our Myung-kil starts us off.
The United States was quick to respond to North Korea's latest provocation. It demanded Pyongyang refrain from such missile launches, calling them irresponsible actions that aggravate tensions. Washington also stressed that North Korea should start fulfilling its legal obligations to the international community. In a briefing on Friday local time, Pentagon spokesman Steve Warren said the U.S. continues to closely monitor the security situation on the Korean peninsula. Issuing its own response, China called for all sides to show calm, saying all the relevant parties could be doing more to ease tensions and increase peace and stability in the region. The statements came after North Korea fired 7 surface-to-air missiles into the East Sea. Experts say the firings were an expression of Pyongyang's opposition to the ongoing annual joint military exercises between South Korea and the U.S. North Korea sees the drills as a show of aggression, but Seoul and Washington have repeatedly stressed the exercises are purely defensive. The North's latest provocation came shortly after it was announced that North Korea and Russia have declared 2015 as the year of friendship. The countries plan to hold a series of political, economic, and cultural exchanges this year to take their bilateral ties to the next level. The Kremlin has already confirmed that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will travel to Moscow in May to attend a ceremony marking the 70th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. Myung-kil, Arirang News.
And as a follow-up to that report, it has emerged that the foreign ministers of North Korea and Russia held an impromptu meeting in Moscow on Friday. Russia's foreign ministry says Pyongyang's top diplomat Lee Soo-young and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov talked about how to develop the two countries' relations, fostering peace on the Korean peninsula and other issues of common concern. Diplomatic sources in the Russian capital say another high-ranking official from Pyongyang will likely visit Russia next month to go over the details of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's planned trip to Moscow in May. The North Korean foreign minister is expected to leave Moscow soon to head to another, as yet unspecified, overseas destination. One of the U.S. Navy's newest littoral combat ships, the USS Fort Worth, has wrapped up its first ever joint training exercise with South Korea. The Freedom-class coastal combat ship arrived on Korean shores on March 5th for the annual Seoul, Washington field training exercise called Foal Eagle. It marked the first time that any LCS has taken part in the drills. Speaking on board the ship on Saturday, Commander of the U.S. Naval Forces Korea, Rear Admiral Lisa Franchetti, said the U.S. looks forward to hosting more LCSs in South Korea in the near future. Now, LCS are able to get closer to shore than larger ships, which Navy officers say brought extra speed and maneuverability to this year's exercises. The Korean man who savagely attacked the U.S. ambassador to South Korea, Mark Lippert, earlier this month is now in the hands of prosecutors after being released from hospital. Kim Ki-jong is facing charges including attempted murder and assault on a foreign envoy. Kim was in hospital receiving treatment for a broken ankle he sustained as he was shoved to the ground immediately following the knife attack. Now, on a more upbeat note, Mr. Lippert says he's ready to get back to work next week, uploading a couple of photos of his young family and dog to his 12,000 Twitter followers on Saturday. The US envoy thanked everyone for their friendship and support. Some renowned U.S. experts on Northeast Asia are calling on the United States to be more proactive in encouraging Korea and Japan to get along with each other. Speaking at the American Enterprise Institute Forum on Korea-Japan relations, former Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs Kurt Campbell said Washington should put the same emphasis on tackling the issue as it does on the Iranian nuclear and Israeli-Palestinian issues. He stressed that if Korea and Japan, who he called America's closest friends, can smooth over their historical and territorial disputes, all three countries will be able to accomplish a lot more together. Another speaker, Victor Cha, Chief Korea Analyst at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said the U.S. so-called pivot to Asia won't work unless Seoul and Tokyo are on the same page. Iraqi forces are taking a breather in their push to take back the city of Tikrit from the extremist group that calls itself Islamic State. A source in the military command says the forces are awaiting reinforcements as the offensive on the city has been slowed by snipers and streets filled with homemade bombs and booby-trap buildings. The source adds that Iraqi forces have no plans to move forward until more soldiers reach Tikrit, of which Islamic State still holds around half. Now, one of the chief Iraqi military commanders says the hold-up is not a major worry and there is no doubt Tikrit will be fully retaken from IS within days. The expected victory in Tikrit will give Iraqi forces confidence for the next stage of the campaign, the much more difficult job of recapturing Mosul, the largest city under the control of Islamic State. Now, shifting gears now, and schools are places of learning, but the one area within schools that often fall into disrepair and neglect are the bathrooms, unfortunately, and this remains the case in most schools today. But a group of school kids in Korea have taken it into their own hands to freshen their school toilets up. Our Lee Ju-young reports.
Would you believe these are school bathrooms? Local students, with the help of the City of Seoul and the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education, worked together to bring life to these once dull facilities. A survey last year showed that over 60% of students in Seoul were not happy with their school's bathrooms because they were dirty, stinky, and old. So unhappy up to a point that they wouldn't even use the ones at school, but would wait until they got home. The director of Seoul's Education Policy Division says students are more than uncomfortable. They're afraid to use their school's bathroom.
They're getting affected emotionally, and I think that having better bathrooms will be good for them.
The city's tested out this bathroom renovation project on 7 schools, 3 elementary, 2 middle, and 2 high schools, reflecting the needs and wants of students, like adjusted sink heights and adding powder areas.
I suggested adding some lounges or rest areas inside school bathrooms because I noticed that a lot of people spend their time talking in there. They accepted my idea and it came true.
After receiving positive feedback, Seoul said it's creating a guidance manual for future bathroom makeovers. It plans to redesign bathrooms at 675 more schools by 2018. Lee Ju-young, Arirang News.
Now, one of Korea's biggest automakers, Kia Motors, is recalling tens of thousands of its Seoul small SUVs in the United States because the accelerator pedals can bend or fracture. Kia says nearly 209,000 vehicles are affected, all built between July 2013 and January this year. Both the standard Seoul and its EV counterpart are subject to the recall. In a statement, the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said that if the vehicle has a bent or broken accelerator pedal, the driver may have difficulty accelerating the vehicle, and that, of course, increases the risk of a crash. Now, Kia says it will notify owners, and as with most of these mass recalls, repair work will be free of charge. Despite the worrying news, Kia was quick to stress that no crashes or injuries have been reported due to a gas pedal bending or breaking. Korea held its first Pyeongchang 2018 Paralympic Day ceremony in central Seoul earlier today, with a variety of events and musical performances taking place. Organisers hope the ceremony draws extra attention to the multi-sports event, which involves athletes with a range of physical disabilities. One of the biggest draws of today's event was Korea's former Olympic champion ice skater Kim In-ah. You can see her there. She was in attendance. The Paralympic Day will be celebrated annually until the actual Winter Paralympics in 2018. Pyeongchang will stage the 2018 Winter Olympics for able-bodied athletes from February 9th to the 25th in 2018. The Winter Paralympics will run from March 9th to March 18th. Well, before we go, let's give you a brief overview of the weekend weather in Korea. And it seems finally that spring is finally here, and it's here to stay. We saw the daytime high reach 10 degrees Celsius, relatively mild today, and it's going to be even warmer on Sunday, with the mercury topping out at 13 degrees Celsius in Seoul under partly cloudy skies, but we should see a fair amount of sunshine. Looking further ahead, we'll see temperatures in the mid-teens all next week as well. With that, let's take a look at the weather conditions around the world. Well, those are the stories we've been following this Saturday night in Seoul. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out either our website, arirang.co.kr/news, or our smartphone application, which has all the latest news and programmes. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.